Hello and thank you very much for joining me. Thanks for looking in today. Great to have you on board. Let us take a look at the astrology of this weekend. Starting today, Friday the 17th, if you're watching this on the day it came out, of course. And we'll go through to Sunday the 19th. Now it is really all building up to the 20th and the 21st. 20th in the States and Canada, and here in UK. Just less than an hour into the 21st of September, we get the full moon, and that's the harvest moon. And that is a thing all of its own, but we'll make a separate video about that, and we'll make a separate video about next week too. Might as well be comprehensive about all these things, but I couldn't really look at this weekend's astrology without going into that, because that is the big news that's coming towards us. However, there are other things going on, including a big T-square as we get into Saturday. But let's take a look at today first. The moon is in Aquarius right now. It's going to stay there until Saturday, and then enter Pisces on Saturday. So the interest that people have in gathering new things into the mind, new knowledge, maybe studying, intellectual pursuits, that kind of thing, is very heightened at the moment under that Aquarius moon. She is at this moment about 86% full, so if you're watching this on the day it comes out, she's going to be somewhere between 86 and about maybe 90% full, because she does grow quite quickly mid-cycle. It's an apple-shaped transit, I very often say this, you know, so, well, in one hemisphere we get that, and in the other hemisphere we get that. It sort of moves slightly in opposite directions, but it's always like diametrically opposite itself on the different sides of the world. So wherever you are in the world, she is actually speeding up a bit as she gets to full moon, and then she will slow down. But speeding up is what full moon is all about. It really is. And it's going to be the harvest moon, of course, so there is a feeling of completion really with that new moon. But like I say, loads of energy, not just for starting things off, which we associate with the new moon, but actually for getting some more energy behind whatever you've been trying to do since the new moon, to really get your energetic boots on, so to speak. Right now the moon is square Uranus, and the moon alignment can change several times a day, but as I'm making this video she is square Uranus, so we get temporary upsets in the flow of events. It's kind of moody, you know, instability in people's moods. People become kind of really quite changeable, and the advice really is expect the unexpected. You know, it could be awkward socially, but at the same time it is an Aquarius moon, so people are fairly outgoing, and you know, great time for newness, and that can include new friendships. No reason why it shouldn't. That's the moon. Mercury is trine Jupiter at the moment, and I think it's good to look at maybe the 2 or 3 nearest planets, the 2 or 3 nearest rocks from our own Earth here. And Mercury, always connected with communication, is trine Jupiter at the moment. Now, Jupiter, as we see it, is really the sort of king of the gods, I suppose, the ruling sign of Sagittarius, and it means plenty, you know. It can almost be excessive. It's very expansive, and it's very tolerant, and that is going to help the sociability of Aquarius no end. It's associated with good luck, with bounty, mental growth, spiritual growth, all come under the rule of Jupiter. And Jupiter is really strongly associated with a sense of humour, goodwill, mercy even, you know, just kind of a sense of kindness to our fellow people, our fellow creatures, and kindness to the planet. And let's face it, if we're looking at astrology, I think we're all aware that we can get much more out of astrology if we're aware of the needs of our planet, the actual Earth energy itself, and the people who live on this Earth. But it could be excessive, it really could, because with Mercury trine Jupiter, all that's going to get involved with communication, and could even bring legal matters to the fore in a rather difficult way. I would plan journeys carefully. That's always good advice on Mercury retrograde, but we're a long way from Mercury retrograde just yet. We've got a good over a week to go before we actually get into Mercury retrograde. But Mercury is slowing down, you know, just before the retrograde, when Mercury stands still, it slows down a bit. as it comes in to stand still. Then it stands still, then it starts going retrograde. So that is called the pre-shadow, or the foreshadow, to sound medieval about it, to Mercury retrograde, and we're in that now, so things are slowing down. Communication really could be quite tricky, but a trine is quite a positive alignment, and Jupiter is quite a positive planet, so it's not all bad news. Venus is opposite Uranus at the moment. That can kind of throw things into reverse gear, really, which can be good or bad. Just depends whether you want to keep going with something or slow it down or maybe even stop it. But yeah, reverse gear, surprises, unusual trends tend to happen with Venus opposite Uranus. Meetings can get cancelled, they can get awkward, they can get uncomfortable. But on the plus side, the limits and the rules are actually challenged by radical behaviours. There goes the phone, excuse me. Well, that makes me laugh. I just got through talking about kind of meetings getting postponed and cancelled, and that phone call there was the engineer from my internet service provider, who is sending an engineer out on Monday because my flow of videos keeps getting interrupted by my internet cutting out, and they interrupted the flow of this video so they could tell me all about it. Stuff which I already knew, and they really took their time. But hey, there we go. Just an interesting little coincidence. Shows how real astrology is, actually, and it is very real indeed. So I was saying, I think, Venus opposite Uranus, reverse gear, surprises, sudden trends, unusual trends, that kind of thing. And basically the limits are challenged, you know, and they tend to be challenged by radical behaviours. There is no escape from it. And Uranus itself, sometimes, trying to find the words for this really, it's an awakening influence, you know. All the aspects, all the transits of Uranus tend to bring sudden changes and shocks, so we shouldn't be too surprised by that, and I shouldn't be surprised by what's just happened. That's Venus. Let's take a look at Mars as well, just as we go into the weekend, because this is setting the trend, you know, and it's right in there with everything else that's happening this weekend, and it's right in there with the build up to that full moon and the slowdown before Mercury retrograde. When Mercury goes retrograde, there are actually going to be 6 planets retrograde all at once. So a separate video about that too. I'm going to be busy making videos because a lot is happening in astrology at the moment, guys. So hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss any of them. And by the way, big thanks for all the new subscribers. We've grown quite a bit as a channel in the last week or two. So very, very grateful for everyone who's been subscribing. Anyway, Mars is trine Saturn. So observing formalities, diplomatic efforts, that kind of thing is needed now. Remember people's traditions, remember people's boundaries that they've set. And friends, don't be afraid to set your own boundaries as well. You know, you are in charge of your own life, and you've got a right to ask for what you want, and you've got a right to ask for what you don't want not to happen, if that makes sense. Kind of a crazy collection of words there, but you do have the right. So establish those guidelines. It's going to help with future cooperation, particularly where there's a constructive kind of project going on, or where there's any kind of competitive thing happening. So that is where we are on Friday. Really quite a lot of build-ups going on there, I would say. Don't forget though, you know, astrology and the alignments of different planets can change by the day. The moon astrology certainly does. Now, Thursday, yesterday, was quite a tricky day. It was a good day for getting things done practically. Apparently, it didn't work out like that for me, but I think it worked out that way for most people. Today, rather different. Today, we've got kind of a spanner in the works again, and things grinding to a halt. There's a fixed sign T-square going on between the Moon conjunct Saturn, just checking my cheaty book here to make sure I don't get it all wrong, Moon conjunct Saturn, and Venus in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus are involved in those things. So we've got the love, the friendship, and dare I say it, the money side of Venus involved here, and that's going to be involving Scorpio as well. So things are going to be like black and white in matters of love, you know. You're either in favour of something or someone, or you're against something or someone. There tends to be no middle ground. There's always middle ground in real life, of course, but people just don't always see that middle ground, particularly around the Venus influences, the goddess of love, the love and money side of things. Simplistic interpretation of Venus there, really, but you know, it's the basics that really get in there. It's about what we value, what pleasure we take in life. Grace, charm, beauty, all those things, as well as just love and money, tastes, pleasures, artistic inclinations, the creative sides of ourselves. And Scorpio is in there, and it is involved in that T-square. And also Uranus in Taurus. Now, Uranus is just, you know, it's one of those planets, is it not? A lot of craziness associated with Uranus, basically. So just about anything could happen, you know, anything at all could happen. And so actually on the, well, as we go through today, as we're coming towards the weekend, that is the big influence. We've got that T-square. It's a fixed sign T-square. It's very difficult to get round it. Might as well go with the flow. And of course, the flow could get interrupted. But what else are you going to do but try and go with the flow? That's the T-square. And maybe nothing's going to get done today, you know. Like I said, it's a spanner in the works. Who knows? Anything could happen, really. A T-square basically is a red aspect pattern. It's formed between 3 planets, or 3 points in a horoscope, but as we're talking about now, 3 planets in terms of the way this T-square is working. And a red aspect pattern is called an achievement figure, because all the aspects that are formed are really strongly charged with energy. Hopefully the tensions in those energies allow people to use that energy in life, but the particular tensions that we've got in this T-square are really going to drag things to a bit of a halt. But don't worry, things keep on changing, and we are coming up to that full moon, which is going to be absolutely full of energy. Looking at Saturday, things are kind of happier, things are a bit more sprightly and enjoyable as we get into the weekend. The moon is going to conjunct Jupiter in a big-hearted sort of a way, shortly after trining Mercury on Saturday. And then on Sunday there is a trine with Venus, so things get even more compassionate, and everything I was saying about Venus in the T-square is going to balance itself out. So we come out in the right place, we really do, and I can't emphasize that enough, guys. When astrology throws a downer at us, it throws an upper at us pretty well, pretty soon afterwards. So there's that Mercury retrograde worth bearing in mind. It's not happening yet, but we are very much in the foreshadow. So plan your journeys carefully. Think maybe about legal matters, that kind of thing as well, but plan your journeys carefully. Communicate with care. Very easy to be misunderstood when Mercury is anywhere near retrograde. And if you need to get your car fixed, if you need to buy some new shoes, anything at all to do with communication, see, right down to things like shoes, get them bought before we actually go into Mercury retrograde. That's a good project for this weekend. That really is, because next weekend it'll be a different kettle of fish. Things really will be changing. But anyway, friends, that is my look at astrology for this weekend. I will be back on Sunday with a video looking a bit further forward into that, and also going to be just doing some more general videos. The channel's growing really nicely, so you know, out of my sense of gratitude for all you guys who've subscribed recently, we'll be looking at other stuff going on. Now, actually today, a coronal mass ejection hit Earth's magnetic field. You get a coronal mass ejection, I'm talking about the corona of the sun, and you actually get a plume of magnetic lava or something. I don't fully understand it, but a whole plume of this very magnetic stuff flies off the face of the sun, and it can take a couple of days to reach us here on Earth, but then it hits our atmosphere, and it can create geomagnetic storms. This was quite a weak impact, but it's lifted the solar wind speed a bit, so geomagnetic unrest is certainly on the cards. I wanted to get that in there, but more about that, more about astrology coming up, so do hit that that subscribe button, friends, and don't forget to tap that bell to make sure you don't miss anything. You tap the bell, it gives you a choice. Hit all notifications, receive all notifications, then you shouldn't miss a beat. That is the idea. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave me a comment, guys. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what astrology is doing in your lives at the moment. Doing your head in, probably. It's doing my head in, I'll say that. But I will also say thanks very, very much for watching. I appreciate you guys, big style, and I'll see you again in a future video very, very soon. Take care of yourselves, friends. Bye-bye.